It's good day to brew, baby. What is up, YouTube? It's Roy Millsy, back with Hometown Commander, back for another episode of Millsy Brews, the show where I brew my version 1.0 deck list of the Commander in front of us on my quest to brew the Magic world. As always, the deck list is going to be down in the description for you below, as well as I really appreciate if you can interact with the video, like, comment, subscribe, look at the links down in the description, do all that good stuff. Today we're finishing up the last real commander from Modern Horizons 3 I want to cover, and that's Shilgengar, Sire of Famine. This is an interesting commander for a couple reasons. I think there's a lot of ways we can take Shilgengar, so I kind of just took my stab at it, and I intrigued to see what you think of it, or if you build Shilgengar, I'd love to hear how you took it. But Shilgengar, Sire of Famine is a 5-mana 6/6 Orzhov commander because of that bottom ability having hybrid mana in it. Elder Demon, flying, sacrifice another creature to create a blood token. If you sacrificed an angel this way, instead you create a number of blood tokens equal to its toughness instead. So Shilgengar is a demon, but it cares about angels, so we're going to kind of spin the deck towards angels so we can always make sure we're keeping those blood tokens around. And then, for 3 hybrid mana, Orzhov mana, and sacrificing 6 blood tokens, we can return each creature from our graveyard to the battlefield with a finality counter on it. Those creatures are vampires in addition to the other types. So just a very interesting batching of types here. But I think Shilgengar has a lot of potential, especially with its ability to use things that prevent or remove counters from something to be able to sacrifice our angels and bring them back over and over again. Of course, the key card here is going to be Solemnity, and we'll talk about it. But I think we're going to try to take this deck 2 ways. The angels, the life gain, the things that angels do so well. And at the end, we'll talk about some of these aristocrat-y style ways we can try to push towards making an engine that can end the game for us. But let's talk about our angels, right? We have things like Angel of Destiny as a potential win con, gaining us life anytime there's a creature we control deals damage to a player, including them as well. And then at the beginning of our end step, if we have 15 or more life than our starting life total, each player Angel of Destiny attack this turn loses the game. Archangel of Thune gains us life, going to put counters on everything. That's of course helpful because the more toughness they have, the more blood we get from Shilgengar. Avacyn, making everything indestructible, can of course be great protection. We're playing Bruna and Giselle, which both have great abilities in their own right, but they can meld into Brisella on the backside, a very interesting angel in its own right, which is kind of interesting, and a big body for what it's worth. Things like Giada can help us cast angels by tapping for mana. Lisa can take angels that die, potentially Shilgengar's ability, and bring them back to our hand at the beginning of the next end step. Righteous Valkyrie can gain us life whenever an angel or cleric comes in and get us a little bit of a buff if we have enough life. Rodolph Dustbringer can actually bring some of those creatures back to the battlefield, or if its mana value is X or less, or X is an amount of life we've gained. So now we kind of have this potential loop where Rodolph can be bringing things back if Shilgengar sacks them, which is kind of interesting. Sanctuary Warden can protect creatures with, or protect stuff with some shield counters and make some tokens or draw. And then Sephara, again, other creatures are indestructible. So there's a lot of angels. There's a lot of other angels as well. But just wanted to highlight some of the interesting ones. And again, so these are the things where we're trying to get good angel bodies with good toughness, that if we do sacrifice them to Shilgengar, we get lots of blood tokens. I realized that we got through this entire first section without mentioning what a blood token is. If you've never played with a blood token, you pay 1 mana and discard a card to draw cards. So you're kind of looting, and we can use the blood tokens to help get through our deck as well. We could potentially discard those angels into our graveyard and get them back with Shilgengar by sacking the bloods. But let's talk about how we're going to try to make angel tokens. Some of these angels are very good at making tokens, and those tokens are great sack targets to Shilgengar because their angels are going to get us more bloods. Well, Sorin is going to look odd, but the main reason it's in here is because it's going to give all creatures and all planeswalkers we control lifelink on our turn, meaning that we can hit this normally 4 or 5 life threshold that a lot of these abilities have per turn that we need to get these tokens. Resplendent Angel needs us to gain 5 life on our turn to get a token. Valkyrie Harbinger needs us to gain 4 life on every turn on our turn to gain a token. Moonsilver Spear just makes one whenever the creature attacks, so this is great. We could put this on Shilgengar and be getting 4 blood tokens every turn. Angelic Accord, 4 life at the beginning of, at the end of each end step gets us a token. And then Luminarch Ascension, which is one of my favorites. If we can go 4 of our opponent's turns without taking damage, a losing life. We can get counters in it for 2 mana, make a 4/4, and this is great because this is an ability we could potentially pair with some of the engine targets we're going to talk about at the end, where we could be making tokens, sacrificing them for bloods, getting mana back. There's just a lot of funky ways we can combine abilities to just print value. But let's start to talk about some of them. Pitiless Plunder says whenever a creature dies, we make a treasure token. That can be useful, right? Sacking those tokens and getting mana out of it. If we can pair enough of these effects together, you'll start to see that we can get these funky loops. Altar of Dementia. Sacrifice a creature. Target player puts a number of cards equal to the sacrificed creature's power from the top of our library into the graveyard. So, hey, we could sacrifice a creature to Phyrexian Altar, or Altar of Dementia, have someone mill that amount, and Pitiless Plunder could make us a treasure. Age of the Iron Throne. Whenever a artifact or creature we control is put in the graveyard from the battlefield, each opponent loses a life. So, if we have this out and we're sacrificing those bloods to Shilgengar's ability, our opponents are now losing life as we're going through that process. Phyrexian Altar, sacrificing a creature for mana. Phyrexian Reclamation can just pull a creature from our graveyard back to our hand if we need it that way. And then the big piece that we want to pair with Shilgengar is Solemnity. Players can't get counters. Counters can't be put on artifacts, creatures, enchantments, or lands. What this is ideally going to do is have Shilgengar pull our entire graveyard back to the battlefield. They're not going to get the finality counters, meaning we could then sacrifice them again, bring them back, as long as we have enough mana, as long as we repeat this, and we have enough of these other type of effects around us to either deal damage or get resources, we could ideally end the game with this sort of loop. So there's a lot of ways to take this, and I think after getting this version 1.0 list together, my gut tells me there needs to be a little bit more aristocrats in the deck, but I think that's what we would get in testing. I would say on the show that no deck's ever complete, and I think that's probably where I could have pushed a little bit harder. There are some aristocrat abilities in the deck, don't get me wrong, but maybe it means that we need to add a couple more and really spin farther into it to make sure that we're getting that life loss to our opponents as we're doing this and demonstrating this loop, or we could potentially knock our opponents out quicker that way. And then we have something like the Book of Exalted Deeds to, again, make more of those angel tokens quicker if need be. At the end of the day, I don't think that this commander is like really robust in the sense that I think the loop is prevalent. I understand the functionality of the loop. It's just going to be getting it and making it shine that I think is where you're going to, find the way you want to take it in that. So let's play a couple hands here. We've got a dual land and 2 lands, Solemnity, Deadly Dispute, Herald's Horn, and a Fireman Commando. So we have an Angel, we have a Herald's Horn for a little bit of reduction. I like it. So turn 1 we draw another tap land. I mean, it's pretty obvious we're going to play a tap land here. I don't see anything to do on turn 2 here, so no point in doing that. Or turn 1. Turn 2... Again, no target for Deadly Dispute, so I don't really see anything we can do on turn 2. I think turn 3 is going to be the more interesting ask here. I guess if I knew I was going to do nothing, I probably should have played that Sinkhole. Well, okay. We're too late at this point. So turn 3, I see the point of the Herald's Horn, making our, Angels a little bit cheaper. It doesn't reduce Shilgengar, but at least it would allow us to get some value out sooner. Agent's great, but of course, not as usable before we get Shilgengar down. So I kind of like the idea of Herald's Horn here calling Angels and allow us Angels to get a little bit cheaper. We'll go to our next turn. It says at the beginning of your upkeep, look at the top card of your library. If it's a creature card and has a chosen type, you may be able to put it to your hand. It doesn't, so we're going to move into turn 4. Turn 4, I guess if my intention is to play that Fireman Commando, we'll get this untapped and then play that Commando for just 3 mana. It says whenever you attack with 2 or more creatures, draw a card. Whenever another player attacks with 2 or more creatures, they draw a card if none of those creatures attacked you. So it gives us an option to potentially give some other people some cards for not attacking us. But it's basically just going to move us towards more value here. Turn 5, we see Buried Alive, which is a great card. This could feed a couple of Angels into our graveyard to get from Shilgengar. So that's something to keep in the back of our mind. It's probably an argument for Solemnity, but I kind of like just Shilgengar here. Getting it down, having a threat, a big 6/6 threat. Maybe we try to attack somebody here if we want to. I realized I didn't do the Herald's Horn, but it was Buried Alive, so we were okay on that trigger. All right, so we see a good piece here for that. We see a way to seed our graveyard. We see Solemnity, so we have parts of this loop kind of pushing together. Let's look It's not an angel, so it goes back on top. We see Altar of Dementia. So we're starting to get at least part of this loop going, right? We're starting to see some of the big pieces. I think this turn we get down Solemnity. I say, man, Iron Throne would be pretty good. I could see Buried Alive fitting our graveyard, but I kind of like the Iron Throne. And then try to attack with both to draw that card off the commando. And here we could always sack the commando to get the 3 bloods if we want to. I'm not sure I'm there yet. I'd like to see some more cards first, but that is an option. But we'll go to here next turn, reveal the top. It is an angel, so we get to put it into our hand. And then we'll draw for turn. It has a lock, Thwain. So 7 mana here. Lyra's a great one. I mean, it's a one that is going to make all our angels even better. We do have enough mana to play Lyra and Altar of Dementia. This could be a fun, again, another fun turn to set up. We could just play Lyra and keep up Deadly Dispute as a way to maybe stop someone from targeting one of our things. And then I go ahead and swing again, Fireman Commando, drawing us a card, get in for some lifelink damage there. And then, let's think about this. If we come back to our end step and nobody targets anything, I think I would probably just nuke Lyra and Fireman Commando for all the bloods. Right, go ahead and do this. Sack both of them and get 8 bloods. Then that would trigger Ancient Iron Throne twice, so everybody loses 2 life. Because then what we would do now on our turn is, trigger there, nope. So we play the swamp, so now we're up to 8 mana, right? Now we can start potentially finding this a loop. What I'm kind of thinking about doing is we don't really have a good way to sacrifice our creatures. We, other than Shilgengar's ability, which I guess is a free sack outlet, but let's see. If I do Buried Alive and Altar of Dementia, I only have the mana to do this Shilgengar loop once, but I think it's worth it. So we Altar of Dementia, right? We'll play Buried Alive, which is going to let us get up to 3 creature cards and put them in our graveyard. I'm trying to think what would be really helpful. I'm thinking, let's see, something maybe like Righteous Valkyrie, right? Because that could gain us some life when all these angels come in. We could do something like Avacyn, right? And this could potentially lead us to just a big attack next turn. Remember, we have Lyra, which is going to give them all lifelink. I guess Harbinger, technically. This would make us 1 token. So we put all 3 of these in our graveyard. I would then do Shilgengar's third ability. We would sack 6 of the bloods and the 3 mana to bring every creature card from our graveyard back to the battlefield. And remember that because of that Solemnity, they're not going to get counters because of, they're not going to get finality counters, so we would be able to sacrifice them. Let's see. These, it says, remember, Angel, Cleric, and ETBs under your control, you gain life without creature's toughness, so it should go off for all of these, getting us a ton of life. At the end of a turn, we should get 1 more 4/4 Angel. And I mean, now we're in a spot where our entire board is indestructible because of Avacyn. I would pass the turn, right? Our entire board has indestructible. And what I think I'd probably do at this point is, if everyone is completely tapped out, right, on our turn, and going to our turn, right? If everyone's completely tapped out going to our turn, I think we could potentially just sacrifice our entire board to Shilgengar's ability, make a bunch of bloods, and try to just loop Shilgengar a couple times, getting damage out here. We could attack with all of them first, right, to get damage in combat if we wanted to, and then do the loop. But I think it's pretty clear that whether I sacrifice them to the altar or I sack them to his ability, either way, we're going to hit a state here where we just start, pouring value into our opponents. So let's go to another playtest. I think that's kind of what we're trying to do with the deck, and I think it shows a lot of it anyway. But I just want to show you that, sometimes, what you see can vary on what you get. So we'll go here, turn 1. I mean, we're never going to pass up a command tower into a Soul Ring into an Arcane Signet, right? Got to show these games sometimes, as much as we all hate to be sitting across from them. Turn 2 Secluded Courtyard, we would call ideally Angel here, right? I can go into a turn 2 Shilgengar, or I can get something like Field Marshal down. I mean, I might as well go turn 2 Shilgengar, right? Might as well take advantage of what we have when we have it. Turn 3, get the Phyrexian Tower down, 6 mana. I like Rudolph. I like the Field Marshal. I guess we'll go Rudolph. You know, dome somebody for 6. I like it. We're building value. Valkyrie's great. I wish we had one more mana to do Valkyrie and Field Marshal. But we don't. Valkyrie. And then I guess the altar. And then take an attack here with Rudolph to gain some life. Shilgengar at somebody. So again, we're sitting out damage. Again, we're just looking for another good piece. Man, I really wish we would have gotten some mana there. We could always Deadly Dispute something to that. I kind of like the Field Marshal. Just gain the life, and as long as you control your commander, it gets +2/+2, and all creatures we control have vigilance. Again, take another attack, and again, right now we're just looking for another piece to help set up our thing. Angel of Despair is 7 mana. We'll go Perpetual Timepiece for 2. Tap it to mill 2. We see a Bastion and a Concealed Courtyard. Rudolph can bring something X or less back, where X is the number of life we've gained this turn. So if we attack with Rudolph, that's 4, right? We could sack... I'm thinking, let's see, we could sack the Marshal to Deadly Dispute to draw 2 cards and make a treasure, right? That'll at least give us another land for turn. And then at the end of our turn, we could pay for the Rudolph to get that Marshal back, which would gain us another 3 life off of a Righteous Valkyrie. And now we're in a decent spot. I think we're probably somewhere in the 50 or 52 range, which means we have Valkyrie's ability online unless someone attacks us. We'll go one more turn. We see Furia's, create a 4/4 Angel with Flying and Vigilance. We have enough. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We sack a creature, we have enough for with the Phyrexian Tower, or we could sack a creature to the Phyrexian Altar. We'll mill 2 with Perpetual Timepiece, seeing a Carmen go to the graveyard. Well, I think we could play the same thing, right? We sacrifice the Marshal to the Phyrexian Altar, or the Phyrexian Tower. Play Avacyn, right? Attack with Dustbringer, attack with Shilgengar, attack with Righteous Valkyrie. And again, now we may just risk winning in the air with our Angels. We may not need to necessarily start a loop. End step, we can't pay the mana to bring Field Marshal back, but that's okay. And again, we can just start, we gain 8 life on Avacyn coming in. We have Angel of Despair, which can destroy opponent. We have a Fireman Commando. I think we have a good pieces more this game to just win with things in the air, which I think is completely viable as well. But let me know, what do you think of Shilgengar down in the comment section below? Interesting deck. Not my favorite in the world, but that's okay. I think it's fun to take these experiments and try new commanders to see what we can make of them. I think it helps really me learn as a brewer, but it also helps us learn different approaches on new strategies. And I'll tell you, there have been times where I found a deck I really love by doing just that. But thank y'all so much for watching, and I will catch you guys next time.